The goal of this session is to give you an overview of the program, the expectations, what we're trying to accomplish, etc. And really, we have a few goals as per the funding that the chamber has to run this program. So I'm still in my own thunder. I have a deck that I'm going to share here to walk us through. And we should not go all the way to 2 hours, but if we need to, we will. Good morning, Charles. We are just getting started. So you haven't missed anything. Just let me get my deck up here. I didn't share my screen. Good morning, Sarita. Is that deck? Here's Charles. Good to see you. All right, so you all should be able to see my screen. I see Cree and Monisha. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen?
Okay. Yeah, we can see it.
And then I'm one of these people who I don't like to go into share mode because I like to see my my slides on the side. So I think it should be big enough for y'all to follow along. But yeah, again, I'm Angel and this is Cree, and we're managing the equity and procurement program. This is our agenda for today. So we'll get into right now our welcome, and we'll have a chance to do some introductions so we can know who's in the room. When we do that, I will give us a prompt, and then I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see faces for anybody who wants to share their face. And then I'll come back to this deck and we'll give an overview of the program, and then we'll get into some more specifics around the training. And I hope to have that be an interactive session where you all can share and talk and ask questions. I think that'll make it a lot more engaging and interesting than if you just heard me talking for the next 90 minutes or so. And then we'll talk about MBE certification, the application process for this program. And then we do not have to wait until the end to ask questions, but there is a slide at the end, which we, always do to just ask questions. So feel free to save them or feel free to raise your hand and ask questions throughout. Like I said, I like this to be interactive. This program is funded by Care First. We have a partnership with them to help more businesses in Prince George's to grow and scale. I really should update this slide, Cree, and add FSC in here because when we started the program, Care First was the only funder, but FSC has come in and supported this. So even though their logo is not up here, I'll add it before we do the next session, but I do want to give them their shout out for supporting what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk a little bit about the goals and why Prince George's Chamber started this program. But before I do that, I want to meet you all and see who's in the room. So I'm one of those corny people that like to do icebreakers. So we're going to do an icebreaker to help introduce ourselves. So we'll model it, but we want you to say your name, the name of your business, and something that made you smile recently. And once you've gone, you can popcorn it to another person. You just pick whoever you want. And then when you get picked, just thank the person who picked you by their first name. So we'll show you how to do that as I stop sharing. And I'll go first. So I'm Angel St. Jean. I have a business called the Equity Brain Trust. And something that made me smile recently is, first day of school was yesterday. I have twin daughters, who are 9 and a son who is 11. And the school was going to separate the twins. They've been in the same class since pre-K, and they're 4th grade this year. And we have been in a whole back and forth with them to beg them, plead with them not to separate them. The girls had committed to protesting and like sitting, out, and I was going to get a sign and sit with them on the floor of the school and refuse to go to class. But at 7:45 yesterday morning, we got a call from the principal who said that they are going to keep the girls in the same classroom. So what was like a somber kind of like, we're not excited about the first day, immediately turned joyous. Everybody started clapping. And yesterday was a great first day. So that made me smile recently. So I am going to popcorn it over to Karee and hear about, what made you smile.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karee, and I am working with Angel to support the administration of the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce Equity and Procurement Program. I have a consulting firm called The Butterfly Effect, and my firm specializes in project and program management, data analytics, and stakeholder engagement. Something that made me smile recently was the interns that I held over the summer. I also have a nonprofit. We do education programming, sustainability and climate programming, and just a couple of other like resources that we offer to the community. And so we had 6 interns this summer, and we had a closing ceremony for them at Johns Hopkins Life Design Lab. And I like almost cried because I was just so proud of everything that they contributed. I was so proud to see them just level up in their career and their skill set. Like they were completely different professionals from when they started to when they ended. And I was just so, so happy and proud of them and honored to have worked with them. I'll popcorn it over to Anthony Wilson.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Wilson, Executive Director for Community Tech. One thing that made me smile recently, football season started. A die-hard Dallas Cowboys fan. And just to let Angel know, my brother and sister are also twins. Uh, they was in the same grade, same class up until middle school when my parents couldn't fight it no more. And the principal at the middle school said they was no longer going to put them in the same class, so they had to separate them. So I understand what you're going through. My parents went through that too. And I have to thank Carly for picking me up. I'm going to send it over to Charles.
Hey guys, my name is Charles Banks, and I'm with C Banks Consulting. I have a consulting firm, and I also have a firm that comes in. We do installation for stations for transit stations all over the state and in Pennsylvania. So what recently made me smile was Scary Terry got his money. So it looks like the Commanders going to be making it again. Good to see a brother making it. Yesterday it was all good. Good to see the Commanders on good footing again. So give it the thing. I'm looking forward to this football season. I'm looking forward to things moving along in our region.
Who do you want to popcorn it to, Charles?
I'm gonna popcorn it over to Thomas Turner.
Good morning, everybody. This is Thomas Turner. Uh, I have a company, Live to Travel. It's a travel business. And congratulations to Terry again. I do all the Commanders away games. I have about 300 people that travel with me every year. And we definitely go to Dallas. Okay, but I've been in this space for a long while. I've been head of small business for WSSC and for Metro. So I have a vast amount of clients and people and love to work with you all. I'm looking forward to this incubator program. And what make me smile is waking up every day. I want to turn it over to now Miss Rachel.
Hi, everybody. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut my camera on. for just a second. Can you all see me?
We see you. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Rachel Bengura. I own a multi-purpose event space and beauty salon, and it's a therapy space as well for our Black and Brown people in the Ward 8 community. What's the things that make me smile? I didn't want to be stereotypical and stuff, but I just had a new church I went to this Sunday, and it was so good. So good. It was just aligned with everything that I've been working on here in business. And so it's been a beautiful Sunday, been a beautiful week since I've been to church. I met Mr. Turner, the guy who just introduced, popcorn over to me. And, everything has really been falling into the right place. And I believe it's because God allowed me to sit under good tutelage this Sunday. So that's it. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Rachel. And who do you want to popcorn it over to?
Oh, absolutely. 1 second. Did James Smallwood go already?
Nope.
I'll popcorn it over to him. Oh.
You there, James? If you're muted if you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is James Smallwood, and I've been doing business for the last 25 years in a small landscaping ground maintenance business. What makes me smile is just to be able to wake up every morning. I'm 74 years old, so when I can wake up in the morning, I get a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in working with this group. I have been trying to work with Prince George's County for years now, and I'm hoping that with this meeting, somebody will help me and will show me how I can join Prince George's County procurement office, and that would make me smile very much.
We'll see what we can do, James.
All right, thank you very much.
And who do you want to popcorn it over to?
Who has it been? Because I just got here late. So has Charles spoken yet?
Yes. I'll help you out. Let's go to Monisha.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monisha Shorter, and I am the Chief Creative Officer for Cornerstone Creative Group. We just celebrated our 7-year anniversary, and I am MBE certified and small county-based business certified. And this fall, I'm going to be opening a co-working space. I'm super excited about that, providing support to early stage founders, and also continuing to do digital and growth marketing. Something that made me smile. So we have an 8-month-old fur baby. His name is Nilo. He's a Lhasa Apso. And he sleeps at the foot of our bed. So we have like a little crate. And every morning he pops his head up over the edge of the bed. And that's how I start my day. So that's something that made me smile recently. And I will popcorn it over to Ashley.
Hello, everybody. I stepped out real quick from work because I'm cheating. But I wanted to show my face and do my introduction. So Ashley Williams. I have a few businesses that I'm starting. One is a drug testing business where I do specimen collections. And my newest one is a consulting firm, which I have not started because the thing that makes me happy is that after 25 years, I finally got out of community college and I'll be a junior this fall at Morgan State. So along with my studies, I intend to build my consulting firm.
And what will your consulting focus on?
Oh, psychology. I'm sorry, I'm a psychology major and I'm looking to do IO psychology or some type of psychology where I can do with the workplace burnout and also serving underserved communities. Because again, serial entrepreneurs, so I like one daycare and different things that help the community. Sorry for the interference.
No problem. Who do you want to popcorn it over to, Ashley?
Have we done Anthony Wilson?
We have.
Oh, sorry. So Sharon Washington.
Yep. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sharon Washington, and I am the owner of Washington Consulting Services, and I specialize in management consulting for small businesses, as well as IT training and program management. What has made me happy? I will say I have 2 awesome young adults and 5 great grandkids. So they always make me smile. So I would say that that's what made me happy this week, and all weeks, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I will popcorn it over. Did Sarita Johnson go already?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarita Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of Red Solutions. We are a professional services and technology solutions firm based out of Greenbelt, Maryland, where we primarily focus on solutions for the federal government, but we've also expanded to nonprofit and SMB work. What makes me smile is honestly meeting everyone here today and hearing, your introductions. I was trying to come up with what makes me smile because we've been heavily focused on proposals for like the last quarter and just like into work. I worked probably 20 plus hours this weekend and I still haven't come up to really breathe, but to honestly hear someone mention church and their businesses, that actually just gave me a spark of meeting new people. So thank you all.
thank you, Sarita. And who do you want to popcorn into?
Oh, who haven't I seen on here? I had to step out for a second as well. Christian Gibbs. Has he
Yep.
gone already?
Nope.
I have not. Hold on, let me come on camera. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Gibbs. I'm the president and founder of Unified Strategic Resources. We're a Prince George's County-based management consulting and IT consulting firm. We've done work in the federal, state, local space around the country. And like many of you, we haven't really done any work in Prince George's. So I'm very hopeful that this opportunity gives us a chance to work closer in our backyard. What makes me smile, what makes me happy, my kids are back off to school. So my youngest daughter just graduated from Elizabeth Seton. She's now going to Georgia State down in Atlanta, Georgia. And she's linking up with her big sister who's at Spelman. And so it's just kind of wild to see my kids becoming adults and me and my wife starting to be empty nesters. Our oldest just moved from Bowie over to Baltimore. So we're in the house by ourselves. So that's a whole new kind of life. I'm not sure what to do with myself half the time. So that's what makes me smile.
All right. Yeah. I see Kari put in the chat, all the parents had a party yesterday. Yes. Getting back to folks going off to school and college, empty nesting. That's awesome. I think we have not heard from June.
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is June Bulu, and I am excited to join this program. I hope. We own a commercial cleaning services business, and it's been extremely challenging in the last couple of years since the pandemic. We lost a lot of contracts, and so I'm hoping there'll be opportunities again with Prince George's County. So many things make me smile recently. Two of them stand out. First is my daughter graduated from University of Maryland, College Park, and I'm excited about that. And the second thing is she had the first opportunity to do a presentation in a church because she did family science, psychology. And so she's just blooming and blossoming, and that's really exciting to me. So thank you.
Thank you. And right, congratulations. Congratulations to all the folks who had some recent graduates. It's a lot. It's a huge milestone to get through. So and I see Takia, I saw your note in the chat. I don't know if your mic is still out, but I will say for you, president of Grandeur Construction, specializing in roadway restoration and interior finishing. And dropping your son off to his first day of high school is what made you smile. That is a huge milestone. My son started middle school this year, so yeah, they're growing up, going off to college. Uh, um, well, I appreciate you all for sharing. I came across this topic as an icebreaker earlier this year, and I love to use it because one, it just always makes you smile to hear other people like share some joy from their lives, and especially when you can see the faces and the smiles and people being excited about football season and the Ravens getting that ring this year. There's a lot to really be happy about, and there are things to be unhappy about. But I think when we lean into gratitude, then it can really make a difference in how the day goes. So thank you for sharing your reasons for smiling. I'm gonna go back to my deck now and start talking about this program again. I think this is the right screen. Let's hope. Okay, I think it's the right one. Can somebody just confirm you can see the screen for me? I can't see anybody.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've gotten through introductions. I want to share a little bit about Prince George's Chamber and our goals in putting this program on. The Chamber is really interested in growing the economy in Prince George's. We are not the economic development organization for the county, but working with businesses, we understand that there are these gaps in terms of whose businesses are growing and scaling in Prince George's. And when you have the people who make up the largest percentage of the population not growing and scaling, then you can't really grow an economy that way. So the emphasis in this equity and procurement program is on the equity side and helping more businesses led by people of color, small businesses, women-owned businesses to get access to procurement opportunities that can help their businesses to scale and grow. That's what we want to see. The focus with us obviously is on county businesses. So we are partnering with corporations that are either based in Prince George's or they have a significant part of their operations in Prince George's. All of the members who are participating in the cohort that we're running right now and the one that will be starting soon must be county businesses. So if your business has to be in Prince George's in order to participate in this program. And the facilitators who will be working with you or those who get into the program, all in Prince George's. And again, I mentioned creating opportunities for small businesses to scale. So this is not for companies that are large and that are already getting these types of opportunities. We're really focused on small businesses. And the goal beyond, I mentioned that Care First and FSC is funding this initiative. And they're funding, as of right now, 2 cohorts. So this will be the second one. We are in the process of fundraising to keep this going after the second cohort, but really we want to look at sustainable change. We can only help so many people coming through a training program, but if we can get the corporations that we're working with to change some of their policies and practices, then that can allow a lot more businesses to get through, whether this program is in operations or not. So it's a big part of our goals that I'll get into in a few minutes. So in terms of eligibility, I mentioned being a company that is located in Prince George's. You also need to be a member of the chamber. So if you're not a member of the chamber right now, that is okay. But if you apply and get into the program, you need to become a member. A lot of chambers of commerce, especially big ones, they focus on those big organizations and some of their issues and needs. And the chamber's really trying to look at how it can support the smaller companies that are a part of the membership and helping them achieve their goals of growth and scale. Business has to be in good standing with the state of Maryland. You must be eligible for MBE certification. You don't need to have it already, but you need to be eligible, meaning that you are a majority. I don't like to use minority, but a business that is led at least 51% by people of color. And I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of this presentation. So our first cohort focused on the construction industry and related industries. And this one is specifically focused on professional services. I did hear a few people as you went around and talked about your businesses. You shared that you have some that focused on construction or some that focused on, cleaning, landscaping, etc. I do think it makes sense for you to stay through this session, but I would like to make sure that we gather your information so that we can reach out to you because I'd like to see how what we've done in the first cohort with businesses that are like yours can be extended, to what you're doing. So do stick around even if your business is not a professional services company, and we can talk offline about that. I did say, I know some folks came in later before we, after we got started. But the goal for this session, there's a point where we really would like this to be interactive. So we'll have some things that we'll ask you and ask you to share your experience about. But as I go through this deck, I also want to say, you can save your questions to the end if you want. If you have questions as I go along, feel free to ask. I'll just say, raise your hand, and that way I can recognize you, or maybe Priya, I'll have to ask you because I can only see so many people's screens. So just interrupt me.
We just welcomed a new participant.
Do you want to say who? Because I can't see.
Oh, okay. I believe Ibarechi?
Yes, Abarachi. Good morning.
Okay.
Sorry for
welcome.
joining late. Just got off another meeting.
Yep, no problem. And feel free to stay on afterwards if there's some stuff that you missed that you want to ask. And I see Lori.
Hello, Lori Sells with Civility Management Solutions, and I'm glad to be here. And I'm liking what I hear so far. Thank you very much, Ms. Angel.
All right, thank you for coming. Okay, so that was eligibility, and so just to take a little bit of step back, I mentioned that this is mostly funded by Care First, although FSC has come in as a funder after we got started. But we had set out 3 main goals in creating this program. The first one is to expand minority-owned business participation in corporate procurement. So this is specifically focused on corporations and minority-owned businesses getting access to contracting opportunities with large firms. Ultimately, in this program, we want to help 30 businesses led by people of color to build their capacity to compete for private contracts. And so the idea is that there is no guarantee at the end of this process that you get a contract with any of the companies that we're working with. But what we are doing is working with them to say, what are the things that these businesses need to know so that they've checked all the boxes and they can present themselves as competitive for those opportunities. These are also corporations that have a commitment to working with small minority businesses. And so we're trying to close that gap between their stated goals and the actual results that they have. This workshop that we're doing is also a part of that initial objective. We know that not everybody, we can only bring in a total of 30. That's including the folks who've already participated in cohort 1. But the information that we learn in talking to the corporations, we think it's important to share with as many people as possible. So we committed in this to serve at least another 100 businesses through these workshops where we can get into detail. So our hope is that you're going to walk away from this workshop feeling like you have a good sense of what you need to do to get yourself ready to go into those contracts, even without going into the in-depth training sessions. Our second goal is to develop a replicable model for parity and procurement. And what we mean by that is we want to change policies and practices in the corporations that we're working with so we can identify where small minority businesses are getting stuck in their processes, not getting through and getting those contracts, and unstick them. Understand there's things that you can do as businesses to become more competitive and to present yourselves as more competitive, but there are things that they can do to kind of iron out some of the wrinkles in their process to help more people get through. And so in addition to the training, we have a monthly meeting. Actually, right after this workshop, we'll be having our next monthly meeting with the 7. Our goal was 5. We have 7 corporations that we're partnering with in this initiative. So we meet with them monthly to kind of talk about their processes, understand a little bit more, and try to figure out like where we can make some of those changes. And then with the success that we hope to have with getting them to make changes, the idea is that we can then take that to other corporations that are working in the county to make similar changes so that more businesses succeed in their procurement efforts. And then the last piece is really around program effectiveness. I mentioned that I have a company called the Equity Brain Trust. And in addition to this type of consulting where we help organizations identify goals related to equity, and we do everything from program design and program management to building data infrastructure and helping people to understand how to use data to drive results. So we are data oriented and understanding what works in one initiative and carrying that forward, understanding what doesn't work and making shifts in that so that we can drive program success over time. That is a key goal of this program. The structure of the training, it is 6 months long. The training meets once a month, and these are in-person trainings. We're meeting in Upper Marlboro, and the sessions are anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and they're led by industry leaders. And so the buyers and the people who we work with all of our corporations are the ones that are facilitating the sessions. So by coming and participating, you're introducing yourself and your business to them. They're getting to know you so that when you get to the end of this, they have a better understanding of your business. Because one of the things that we learn in our conversations with them is that, they have hundreds of businesses in their networks. And when they're saying we need to identify someone to perform a particular service, it's hard to know who those businesses are, how good those businesses are, what their performance has been in the past. And so it's really important to have relationships and to let them know who you are, not just to be in their databases. And so you get to do that by being a part of this and meeting them as they're facilitating the sessions. There's a once a month session, and then the month in between each session, the idea is that you would be working on the topic that we just covered. So if we're talking about procurement readiness, then in that month before we get to the next one, you're getting all of your I's dotted, your T's crossed so that you can demonstrate readiness in procurement. One change that we're going to make from the cohort that we are currently in is that we're going to have these sessions be a little bit more hands-on. So right now in the session, someone will come and they have a presentation, they'll go over, a lot of content. They've been very engaging and very energetic sessions. But then you leave there and then you go back to your business and dealing with all the operations. You're working on the business and it's really hard to take a step back and implement something that you've learned. So we're going to be making an adjustment to the cohort where you're going to get some content and then you're going to actually start working on that thing in real time with the facilitator there present. But we will provide technical assistance to you in that month between sessions so that you can finish up that effort that you started in the class. And as you move on to the next topic, you've already checked the box on the topic proceeding. And then there will be a graduation ceremony where you will have the opportunity to meet all the buyers from our corporate partners in one place. I'm sure you've all gone to those events where they have the booths and you kind of walk around to each one and you try to like introduce your business. So we're going to do that in the reverse, where you all will be the ones that have a table in a booth and you're presenting your capabilities, and the buyers are going to come around and meet you and hear your presentations about your business and what you've been able to do prior to the training, what you've learned, etc. Our target for the program, again, small companies. And by small, there's a lot of definitions for small businesses, but we're looking for companies that have less than 25 employees. We are looking for companies that have not had a lot of contract, or, maybe you've applied for contracts and you didn't get them. Maybe you've gotten your first or second, but really you're trying to get to that point of scale. You do need to have been in business for 3 years. That is a requirement that we added because that's what the corporations are looking for. So they're not, it is not absolutely no way that you could work with them if you've been in business for less than 3 years, but it is a general kind of rule of thumb that they use. And so we don't want anyone to come through this program that has done all of the things that they need to do and then they still can't get the contract because they haven't been in business for 3 years. If you're on this call and you haven't gotten to 3 years yet, my hope is that you'll learn things that you need to know so that once you hit that three-year mark, you're ready for it. But in order to get into the actual training, you will have had to be in business for at least 3 years. And then again, I mentioned already, but you have to already have your MBE certification or be eligible for that. And we'll go over the eligibility requirements towards the end. So now I'm gonna get into the point where I really like this to be, interactive. And these are the topics that we're gonna be covering in the 6-month training. So we'll go into them into a little bit more detail, and we'll hear from you about your experience, especially those who've gotten contracts before you've applied. So get ready for that. But the 6 sessions, we're going to go over. First is business operations and procurement readiness. Second, actually, I really hate to read what's already on the screen, so I'm not going to go over like each one of them. They are there. This session is being recorded. And we'll provide the recording back out for folks who want to see it. And if you would like the deck, you can always, we'll share our contact information. You can reach out and we're happy to send it to you. But we're about to go into these in detail, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this slide here. So in terms of, let me see if I can adjust my window to see everybody. Oh, Monisha, I see your hand is up.
You might answer this question, but I did want to ask specifically around procurement readiness. Does this also cover the actual procurement process, like how to prepare and respond to requests for proposals or requests for bids?
Yes, and let me make sure I specifically talk about this. Yeah, so in this, there, so I'll say it this way. We're gonna open up and look at an actual bid and understand like what they're asking for, kind of not line by line, but like sort of category by category, so that you can understand what the expectations are, and really looking at the procurement opportunity from the perspective of the company and the buyer, and what it is that they're asking for and looking for when they put those bid proposals out, so that you know what you should be responding to and what things you need to cover in your response to the bid. And really the idea is that the companies are doing things to mitigate risk. So if a large corporation hires you, then they are looking for you to deliver a product or service that is needed for their business to function. And so they need to more or less mitigate any risk that you will not perform on your contract, and that if you don't perform, that they have protections in place for their business. And so a lot of what will be covered in this session is for you to like really understand what they're communicating about the risk that they're trying to avoid, and how you can demonstrate to them that you are that you can de-risk this issue. And so it's for you to be able to determine, can I perform what they're asking me for? Because if you can't, then you should not apply. And if you feel like you can, this is how you demonstrate to them that you can do that. So it's not actually putting together a bid and like breaking down your proposal piece by piece, to your question, Monisha. But it's really about understanding what they're looking for you to tell them in your response, to help them feel like the risk to their company is mitigated, and by working with your company. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for the clarification.
And so really important for you to be able to assess your ability to perform and understand what those risks are if you do not perform, from a financial perspective, from a reputation perspective, because a lot of these companies and the buyers, they know each other, they talk to each other, and they will say, don't work with this company because we work with them and they didn't deliver. And then it's hard for you to get back in the good graces of these companies once you have that kind of thing happen. So, one thing we did not do in this session, but we will do in the upcoming session, is we'll have an attorney there to talk to you about understanding the legal aspects of these procurement opportunities, and how you ask for terms that work for your business as well. Because the company will say, for example, we're going to pay you on this schedule after these, tasks are performed. But these are negotiations. Once you get to a point of going into a contract with these companies, there's a negotiation and you have the right to come back and say, you know, those terms don't work for me. This other term will work better for me, because if you agree to their terms up front and then for whatever reason that creates hardships for you, the company is, you know, more likely to say, you know, that's your issue to deal with, not theirs, and they'll look at what's in that contract. So we'll kind of get into that and talk a little bit about some strategies that you can employ to build relationships and connect with the buyers in these companies. So I want to just pause for a second to see, is there anybody on this call who has already gotten at least one large contract? And I'll say, you know, large 50,000 and up. And if that's you, or if you've done that, can you just raise your hands? But yeah, okay. Miss James, okay, Lori. So a few people. So I just want to ask you about your experience and let some of the folks who haven't, you know, done this before kind of understand what it's like in the real world. What was your experience examining a procurement opportunity and deciding that you would go after it, and how you sort of responded to it based on business capabilities? And we can start with you, James.
Well, what I normally do when I look at a contract is first see if it fits in my realm of what I do. And then once I realize, okay, this is what I can do I have the equipment, the personnel to perform that? Once I make that decision, then I look at the contract, or excuse me, the contract inside there. I have everything I need. Now, how do I go about doing this? Does it fit into the realm of things that I want to do and are able to do? And once I make that decision on those three options, then I say, okay, I'm going for it. And I make that decision, and I set up a schedule for myself of how I'm going to operate, how I'm going to perform this contract, and then stick by those rules that I make for myself to make sure that I can do what's in that contract based on the availability of my clients and the equipment that I have. And I just go from there.
And have there been opportunities that you decided not to go after because you didn't feel like you were ready?
Yes, there have been plenty of those, to be honestly with you, because, you know, everybody wants to make money, but when you look at those large contracts, they expect a lot from you. And if you cannot produce, then they will terminate the contract on you and move on. So I feel that, although I feel that I have the capacity, it may be stretching me because I have other contracts to perform. Then if I feel that this would be stretching me too far in my business and in my personnel and being able to keep up with everything that I do, then I might choose not to take on that contract. And that's what I base it on, whether I really have the ability to complete what that large contract is asking me to do. If I feel there's a doubt in it, there's times that I have turned down contracts, and then there are times that I've taken those contracts and fulfilled it.
Yeah, and I saw Christian and Sarita, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you were just saying, yes, I am a person, my company has gotten a large contract before, if there's a specific question. So just let me know.
No, I was just raising my hand when you asked if we had won contracts like that. My experience is similar to Mr. Smallwood in that, you know, we've turned down pursuing, or what we would say no bid, more contracts or opportunities than we've actually gone after. And then even in putting in proposals, we've put in more proposals obviously than we've won. You know, it's sort of the law of averages. What has worked best for us, and I'd say our contracts are typically subcontracts to larges where we've had a relationship, right? And so that's what interests me the most here is the ability to speak directly with firms like Care First or what have you. I mean, I've been in meet and greets with them in the past and, had opportunities to submit, bids that didn't necessarily get chosen. But when you've got the opportunity to speak with folks and build relationships, more often than not, that has a huge advantage in terms of winning a proposal when the actual bid comes out. I'm not even talking about something being quote unquote lined up. I'm just saying if they're familiar with who you are and you've had an opportunity to present your skills, you've already moved the needle a lot further than when you just find something on a procurement site and send it in without having understood who the client is. So that's been my experience.
Yeah. And I just saw in the chat, I think we lost Ashley, but for the folks who are on here, just wanted to say, in response to her question, she was saying her 3 years, she will hit 3 years in February of 2026, and should she still apply? And I would say yes, because if you're going to be at 3 years by the time the program ends in March, then it would still make sense for you to apply. But thank you for that, James and Christian. Sarita, did you have a question or did you want to share some insights?
I was just going to share insights, but I believe they already cover pretty much similar to myself. We have one contract. Our focus in the beginning was making sure that we were subject matter experts, and we came in as small teams providing like subcontractor supports to larger entities. And then we won our prime contracts about 8 years ago. But because the business was primarily focused on our expertise and the technology and our solutions that we were providing, we never did any sales. So we're in our infancy of business development and sales, even though we have 18 plus years of contracts, awards, and delivering solutions, but we don't know how to sell properly. So that's the only thing that I could add in addition to what's already been covered.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'll say two things. One, in terms of like procurement strategy. So our partners have said this many times that it is a lot easier for a small business to come in and either partner with another small business on a contract, which a lot of folks tend not to want to do, but they might see two small businesses that individually you can't handle the contract, but maybe if you're working together, you could, or coming in and working as a sub on a larger contract. All of those are ways to like gain experience and allow the buyer to understand like your business, to develop that performance history, et cetera, before you start to go after contracts as a prime. And so we will get into some of that on the in that first session. And so as it relates to how to sell properly, I think you'll find that that's going to be covered, throughout. And, part of it is how you position your business and the relationships, et cetera. So all the different things that we're going to cover throughout the 6 months. The next session, let me get down here, is going to focus on accounting, financial preparedness, and stability. And this is, all of the topics are really important. I think this is one of those like super duper important topics because the companies are looking at your ability to perform through your financials. In this session, we want you to be able to have the eye of the buyer when they ask you for your financials. What is it that they're looking for? What is it that they're looking at that's telling them what they need to know? If you've been in business for a while, then you know that your financials are really just the budget to the story, you know, of your business. And there are things that you can do to show stability. You know, I will speak for myself and say for my business, like I'll have times when I go, you know, a month or so without like, you know, going after invoices and being paid. And what that looks like in my, you know, financials is that I've had months where I didn't get paid, not, you know, really seeing that I had contracts that I just didn't have the time to, you know, go after those receivables and get the dollars in. And so how you position your business, you know, is really a big piece of that is your financials. And they want to be able to see stability over time. So they want to see that you had consistent revenue or growth in your revenue over time in your business. They want to look at your financial management capabilities. Do you have the infrastructure in place? Do you have, you know, your books in order, et cetera? And then to think about, you know, how you're managing your company for scale. So James talked about assessing a procurement opportunity and understanding, you know, do I have the equipment? Do I have the staffing to be able to perform? Contracts you don't get paid up front. You have to do the work first and then you're going to get paid afterwards. So you have to have the dollars up front and to purchase whatever equipment, to pay for labor, to get to deliver on the contract. And so you need to be positioned financially to be able to do that, to go after a line of credit or get loans so that you can scale up. And so we'll get into those kinds of, you know, strategies. And the person who facilitates this, like she's so fantastic in terms of her depth of knowledge and understanding on both what the corporations are looking for, as well as, you know, what you need to do as a small business to like sort of what's the floor that you need to have, and then how do you grow from there. So I'll pause for a second to see if there are any questions or, you know, any insights that anyone wants to share from your experience. Either you haven't done this before and you have questions and want to know more, or you've done this before and you really understand how critical this piece is. Okay, so I'm going to go to session 3 then. So, you know, picking up on that same theme, session 3 is going to focus on access to capital and financial growth strategies. And this session, we're going to do a little bit different than what we did in cohort 1, because there's by a show of hands, have any of you applied for a loan in order to grow your business yet? Okay. Okay, a couple of people. What we know, what we learn is that there's this sort of I don't know, I say financial literacy speak, where, you know, you go, you hear a bank, they talk about, you know, here are all the things that you need to do. You need to be able to like show us. And the reality on the ground can look a lot different than what is said in these workshops and from a financial literacy perspective. And sometimes it's that people need to understand the lingo and they need to understand, you know, what's the difference between a line of credit or a loan, or, you know, what the loan officer's job is versus the underwriter. But really, people need to know, what does my business look like now? And what's the gap between what I need to look like and where I am in order for me to be able to go after this capital and get it. And so we're going to have a person who is who's a loan officer now, but has also sat on the underwriting side, who can talk about things that loan officers don't say, because sort of you go in, you apply, and either you get it or you don't. But that decision is based on what the underwriter says. And so we're going to bring you both perspectives. And like I said, this session is going to be more interactive. And so we're going to ask for you all to have your financial information, ready so that we can give you an assessment and help you understand where the gap is between where you are and where you need to be. If getting access to additional capital is what you're going to need to get that large contract. Any questions about this before I go to the next slide?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
So,
Sorry, can you say your name one more time?
sure, let me put my camera on. So my name is Abarachi. You can call me Abby. I know it's a little. Yeah, but as a small business, it's a challenge, either getting access to capital, growing your finances. What are some strategies, or is this something that will be covered during the actual workshops?
This is something that will be covered during the workshop, and having session 2 and 3 back to back is on purpose, where session 2 will get into financial stability and how you demonstrate that, and really helping you to see what story does your financials tell today about your business, and what kind of things do you need to do really at an individual business level. I mean, 'cause there's there's sort of a checklist of you need to, have your books, done by, either if you can do it yourself, using QuickBooks or some tool like that, or having some other person, to do them so that you're reconciling your statements and all those things are happening on an ongoing basis, that you're having reviews with your accountant or bookkeeper on an ongoing basis to make sure, that what's in the records is accurate. So there's sort of a checklist of things that everybody should do, but then there is, where is your business right now, and what things do you have in place, and what things do you need to tighten up? So we'll be focusing on some individualized looks at, where your business is and what story does your financials tell. And then, what are the strategies to be able to make yourself, we use this word investable, by a bank or a micro lender whose their focus is on working with small minority businesses. And where's that gap between where you are and where you need to be? Things like, the credit score that you need to have, and debt to income ratio, and, things like that, that the bank and the underwriter is going to look at before they decide that, they'll put money into your business. The importance of your own personal credit, to the business, and being able to demonstrate credit worthiness. So those two conversations will kind of go hand in hand of how do you, what is that checklist of activities that each business needs to do? What's the specific gap between where you are in that checklist? And then what is the gap between where you are and where you need to be in order to qualify for capital to invest in your business and grow your business, and really looking at it as a means to an end. You need this loan because it's going to help your business get to the next level in this way, and being able to communicate that effectively to your lender. And I think a big piece of that is having a relationship with a banker. So they talk about your bail team. I don't know if you all have heard of that. Bail is your banker, your accountant, your insurance agent, and your lawyer. And so every company needs to have those. And we don't talk a lot about building relationships with bankers, but the same way we're talking about buyers, if they don't know your company, this is the risk, for the bank to take to make an investment in you, just like it's a risk for the buyer to contract with you to perform like these really needed services. And so how do you de-risk for them that they're going to have a higher likelihood of getting their money back if they put it in you? That's showing the strength of your business, and the strength of your business is being shown through your financials.
Okay, thank you.
Monisha?
I will say, and I think someone else alluded to this, when you're a small company and you've never had a large contract and you're going after a large contract, that can be a barrier because if you don't have, if you haven't had a contract of that value, sometimes they're reluctant to award you that. And so I don't know how you solve for that. Like certainly I think an infusion of capital could be a help, but I don't know that that solves the problem.
Yeah, what we see, and I think that's right. The companies will look at what is the largest contract that you've been able to do already. So if you have, if the contracts that you've typically done are 25,000, and then you're going after a $500,000 contract, they're less likely to want to award that to you. But if you are in a $25,000 range and you're trying to get 75 to 100, that is going to be a completely different, scenario. They understand that businesses want to grow and kind of go to that next level. But again, like remember this like concept of the de-risking. So they have to de-risk that if I give you a contract of this size that you're going to be able to deliver, they can't afford to take the chance that you won't. And so they're going to feel much more comfortable giving you a contract that's closer to the size that you've already had. So some of those like strategies we'll talk about in session 1, we'll kind of get into that where, we talked about, partnering with another small company. So maybe you've done 100,000, they've done 100,000, y'all go together on, something that's 300 to 400,000. That looks different than having your company that has just done 100 going after something that's 400,000. Or becoming a sub on a contract. And some of the corporations that we're talking to are also breaking the contracts up some and putting it into these smaller pieces so that the work is the contract sizes are smaller and more specialized for the work that the small business is doing. And we'll talk about this later, but it's really important for you to talk about the 1 or 2 things that you do really well. So if there's a contract that has a bunch of different things and you're like, I can do, these 10 things on this contract, they're not going to look as favorably on that as if it's a smaller contract that is focused on, 1 or 2 specific tasks, and you can demonstrate, your capabilities in that one area or those 2 areas. So there's ways that you can look at growing and saying, well, today I'm at $50,000 contract. My goal is ultimately to get to 500. So I got to get to that 100,000 level first, then the 250,000 level, and then I go up from there. Sharon?
I think you might have answered this, but it's piggybacking on what you just said. So would your experience in the industry take place of or coincide with the years that you're supposed to be in business, or is it a hard stop on you must be in business for 3 years and then your experience plays into that?
Yeah, they're 2 separate but related concepts. So experience you can certainly carry forward, if you've been working in the field for, 20 years, and then you started a business, being able to show that work history as well as your business history helps to demonstrate your capabilities. When it comes to your business, being your company being in business for 3 years, it's really more about your financial stability, your ability to perform on contracts that you've gotten, your ability to present yourself as competitive for opportunities. Because if you haven't made it, if you've made it 3 years, you've weathered a few storms. You've demonstrated an ability to kind of go through some things and make it through to get contracts to, succeed in ways that builds confidence in your company in your like they want to know, if I go into business with you today, you're not going to go out of business 6 months from now and leave us high and dry. So length of business is giving them confidence in one area, experience and capabilities is giving them confidence in another area.
So will they even review, or can you even join this process if your business hasn't hit the 3-year mark yet, but you do have a gamut of experience in the industry that you're pursuing?
I would say that if your business, if your company has been in business for like, 2.5 years, you've not reached that 3-year mark, then yes. If your company has been in business a year, I would say you wouldn't be as competitive for this program, because we are really trying to position more people to be able to graduate and get a contract. And it is less likely that you're going to be able to get one if you have not been in business for close to 3 years or 2 years or more.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. For this one, we'll focus on legal documentation and certifications. And so, if you're a, PR, person, showing some affiliations and certifications in your industry just helps to, again, like, it's building that confidence in your background and your capabilities in the area that they're seeking to hire you in. Depending on the size of contracts, some companies will require you to be bondable. So even if you aren't bonded already, but you can get bonded, that gives them additional insurance. And then on the certification side, what we hear all the time is that it's not the thing to lead with. They really want to understand your capabilities, your ability to perform, your ability to stay in business. But they do have these goals to work with small businesses, women-owned businesses, minority businesses. And so if you check all of their other boxes and you're certified, then that just adds like another feather to your cap and makes you a little bit more competitive for the opportunity. So we'll get into that. We'll have someone who does bonding to kind of talk about the bonding process and what is expected of you. And we'll also have someone to talk about the certification process if you haven't gotten that done already. And I'm curious to know, for the folks on the call, how many people already have a W or MBE certification? I know I heard somebody say small business as well. Okay, so 3 companies. Okay. 4. All right, so again, you don't have to have it, but you need to be eligible for it. And then we'll work with you in this process to get that certification. The 5th session is going to focus on business differentiation and capabilities presentation. And so this is where, Anthony, sorry, you had a question?
I was just saying that with Community Tech, we have that certification.
Certification, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so this this session will really look at how you present yourself. James talked about, looking at the opportunities and aligning your skill set and your past performance, et cetera, to the actual opportunity. That is what companies want to see. They don't want to see a list of, 10 different things that your company does. They want to see the 1 or 2 things that you do really well. They want to see that you have previous experience doing those 1 or 2 things. And so that's where your work history, in addition to your business history, can come in. And then it is how you present yourself in interviews and the materials that you provide. Are they, really professional? Taking that extra step in hiring a graphic designer to add graphics and to make your materials, look really nice. it goes a long way in terms of being able to demonstrate I'm trying to find the right word, to show professionalism, et cetera. I'll use that. And so we'll have one of the buyers from the companies that we work with to talk about exactly what they're looking for. We'll provide some examples of really good capability statements, and to demonstrate like how you use and combine both your work history and your professional history to kind of tell a story of your capabilities and experience. And then we do have a company that we work with who goes in and does the graphics and the sort of beautification of your materials and your proposals, who can provide some examples of what good looks like and what it doesn't. I'm curious to know, for some of the folks that have gotten contracts already, what has been your experience in the capabilities presentation side? Like, have you gotten to a point of interviews, and what was that experience like?
Hi, Angel. I'll share a little bit. Actually, the reason why I was late coming in because we're prepping for one that we have today at 2. And then we got another phone call, and now we have one at 4:15. So the government is still buying. Let me just say that. So preparing for them, having a great PowerPoint is extremely important. And of course, when it comes to the federal government side, they because our civility has started to transition into commercial. We've had some state, local, but now we're really focusing. It's a strong focus to get some diversity because I'm coming out of the 8A program, right? So it's different marketing, totally different communication. But if you're on the GovCon side of the house, they don't care anything about your story, how you started your business, how long you've been at it. They just want to know, can you solve the problem? So whenever you're doing PowerPoints with them, make sure the focus is more on that and the delivery. It's great to talk about your subject matter experts who you have with them, but they shouldn't dominate. The domination should be about what it is that you're doing to answer the call to provide them with the service that they have, which could be probably like 4 to 5 PowerPoint slides as opposed to 20.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I see Thomas put a question in the chat about sending out the names of the folks on the Zoom. That is not something that we have done before, but if there's anybody in specific that you want to connect with after this, just reach out to us and then we'll do some matchmaking on the back end. If you all apply and get
Maybe if
into the program. Sorry, go ahead, Karee.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, maybe if you guys who want to connect want to put your information in the chat, then you guys who want to directly connect can do that. We just don't have everybody who registered on the call, so I don't know if we have their permission to like distribute their contact.
Yeah, so I saw Anthony said he couldn't hear you, but what Karee was saying was basically that we haven't gotten permission from folks to share their contact information on this call. So she was suggesting to share your information in the chat, or if there's somebody on the call that you are interested in talking to, I think you have the ability to direct chat with each other. So just feel free to reach out. And if that doesn't work, let us know. We'll try to contact the person and see if we can make a connection. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go to the last nope, the last session is relationship building with buyers. So this session is focusing on professional services, as I mentioned before, and the purchasing professional services is different than purchasing construction services, for example. this is really much more relationship oriented, and people understanding like who you are and what you do, because the process is less formalized. Depending on the size of the contract, that could look different, where they might put out an RFP or something like that. But a lot of times professional services are just, I decide I need to hire a caterer. And I just asked somebody in the other department, who did you work with? And you had those great, roles or whatever at the last session. And they'll give me, the contact information of the company, and I'll just reach out and give them a contract. In the corporate world, you don't have this whole, like, I need to get 3 bids and find the one that's the cheapest price, and the kind of things that you see happen on the government side. And so you really want to be that company that's like right there in the person's mind when they are getting ready to do something. And so we're going to talk about how you position yourself that way. So I think it was Monisha or somebody that's in the sort of digital, like, I don't know if you said digital marketing space, Monisha, but how you position your business and get your name out there, how you identify, who the buyers are so that you can connect with them and they can know about your business, how you can determine what those buyer needs are upfront before you even, go to the company. And then timing, because there are, different seasons, right? There's like a gala season where, everybody's having their galas and their, whatever, like dinners. And so they're going to be looking for certain kinds of vendors to support that work. There's the golf season when everybody's having like, some kind of like, golf event. So knowing what your target company is looking for at different times of the year so that you're getting in front of them with what you do. We'll get into that in the final session. I have a couple more slides, and then we'll be able to wrap and see if there are like any questions that you all haven't had a chance to ask yet. But this is the schedule that we're anticipating for Cohort 2. These will be on the second Wednesday of every month, starting in October. I said earlier, they're in person. We meet in the Prince George's County office buildings in Upper Marlboro. They are in the evening. I put the time on here, but the sessions are generally 5 to 8. And sometimes the session itself is shorter. I don't anticipate that happening in this one because we're going to be doing some hands-on work in real time. So you would prepare to be there from 5 to 8. And I'll say, the cohort that we have right now, I was really worried. It's the end of the day. It's a long day. If people are coming in and you're there late, people are going to be tired and engaged. That has not been the case at all. We've had fabulous presenters who've made the content very engaging and interesting. The classes have been fun. People have built relationships and rapport with each other. Literally every session, I have to say, hey, y'all, you don't have to go home, but I do. So y'all got to get up out of here so that, we can leave. Hopefully that helps, you to really think about a late evening in-person session and the value that you would get from being in person with your peers, your cohort members, and getting that face time with the buyers of the companies that we're working with. We are partnering with the Capital Region Minority Supplier Development Council. Say that 3 times fast. CRMSDC, even their acronym is a tongue twister. But they are the local partner of the National Minority Supplier Development Council. And so we're partnering with them to do certifications. And they do virtual briefings. I just talked to them last week, and they were saying that they are now, they're changing their certification process, where I think the national organization is going to be handling them. And so they're in the process of figuring out what exactly that's going to look like. So I can't give as much detail as we did in the previous cohort because that's being changed right now. But we do know that a part of they have this sort of two-sided, marketplace and goals. On the one hand, they're helping corporations and those prime contractors to meet minority contracting goals and to connect with smaller companies. And then they're working, so being a part of their database, they're helping to facilitate those relationships and connections. And so getting the certification is one thing and saying, hey, we are a minority business and you can check that box if you're working with us. But there's this additional benefit to having those connections. They do a lot of events where they're bringing the corporations and those tier 1 primes in to meet with smaller businesses. So we think that's a big benefit of working with CRMSDC. Your business has to be 51% owned, controlled, and operated, not owned, controlled, or operated, all three, by an ethnic minority, a person of color. I really hate saying minority. And by the time, we get around, to the training, they should have kind of worked through their process, and we'll give some more details, particularly for those who don't already have their certifications, but we will be working with you to take care of that. The application process, this is my last slide. The application, we're going to bring in 20 companies into this cohort, up to 20 companies. The last one, we were going to do 15, but we only did 13 because we didn't have enough that met the requirements. And again, we're doing these requirements because we want you to be competitive when you come out of this program to get a contract. We don't want you to go through it and spend 6 months of your life, even though I think it's really great information that you will be able to use regardless. We want you to come out and to actually be ready to get a contract. And so that's the only reason why we have those requirements. But we'll bring in up to 20. Applications are due September 21st. It's a really simple application process. If you haven't already applied, it is a really simple process. And then we do have a scoring rubric. So if we get, more than 20 businesses who qualify that have applied, we have a scoring rubric that we use to determine like who those companies will be, who get in. We do have an interview process. And in the interview process, it's us and somebody from one of our corporate partners that we work with. And so it's a chance for them to see you and to learn about your business, even in the interviewing process. But the idea is to really have this be low pressure, low stress. We want to know why this training is interesting to you and appealing to you at this time in your business. We want to understand how you're poised to grow and how the training will help you. So, there's not going to be any trick questions and you tell us, when have you done this or that? And we already know that businesses are early stage, relatively early stage, or even you've been in business for a while, but you haven't gotten that large contract yet. We get that. We understand that. That's not going to be an issue that's in your way. Really, at minimum, 3 years in business, demonstrating financial stability, again, showing that revenue stability over time or growth over time. And I have construction here because this slide was borrowed from the last cohort, but as we talked about, it's professional services. As I said up front too, you need to be a county business and you need to be a member of the chamber. You don't have to be a member right now, but if you get accepted in the program, then you have to become a member of the chamber because we are the ones who are putting it on. So for my OCD, y'all just bear with me so I can update this so I don't have this issue when we do the workshop again. Thank you. And now, any questions? I'm going to stop sharing and be able to see Everybody? Okay, I see one question.
Just call me Abby.
I really want to say I'm going to be like practicing it, and I'm going to call you just so I can say your name properly. But we'll go with Abby for now.
Okay.
What's your question?
So you had 3 of these workshops in sequence. Do we need to attend all 3 or just one?
No, it's the same workshop we're doing, just multiple times for folks who couldn't make a different one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I see just in the chat, folks have shared their contact information. So if there are folks that you wanted to reach out to, these are your final minutes to grab that information or to send that side chat. For those companies, I did mention if you're not in professional services and you have something that's more construction or property management sort of related companies, please do put your information. I see June did that. Put that in the chat. We will save the chat and we'll talk to you because we've done some things already in this area. We want to be able to see how we can support. And then I just saw a hand up that went down.
It was me. It was Sharon. I was asking if we could review this recording. Would that be available to come back and watch this recording?
Yes. Kari, is the recording posted online or do we send it to attendees?
So we'll have it posted on the Equity and Procurement website within the next couple of days.
Thanks.
And I said at the beginning too, we're also happy to share the deck if you want to just email us directly. So we don't intend to otherwise, send it out. We want people to go through this and ask questions versus just sort of watching it online. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your questions and sharing your experience. I hope that you learned something today that regardless of whether you go forward with applying or not, but that'll help your business. That's one of our main goals for this. So have a good rest of your day and we hope to see your applications.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you.